In this video, we're going to determine the domain of the composite function where f is the rational function 1 over 2x and g of x is the radical function square root of x plus 1. Remember that the first thing we want to do is take a look at our second function up here, which is g, and we want to determine any values that make g of x undefined. Because g of x is a radical function, this means we want x plus 1 to be greater than or equal to 0, and we can solve for x here to get x must be greater than or equal to negative 1. This is the domain of our radical function g of x, so this means that g is actually undefined when x is less than negative 1. So we're going to hold on to that as we work through our second piece. In our next step, we're going to compute f of g of x to try to find any values of g that cause f to be undefined. And that means everywhere we see x in our function for f, we're going to substitute in g of x. In this case, there's only one occurrence of x in the function f, and we're going to replace that x with the square root of x plus 1. Here's where things get a little bit trickier because we have this radical inside the denominator. We do have to set that radical greater than or equal to 0 and solve. So we do get x must be greater than or equal to negative 1. And this implies that our function is undefined if x is less than negative 1. Now, on the other side, we have to consider the denominator equal to 0 to see if that produces any values of x that are going to cause f composed with g to be undefined. Well, first we could divide both sides by 2, and that gives us square root of x plus 1 is equal to 0. Then we could square both sides, that gives us x plus 1 is equal to 0. And then we could subtract 1 from both sides, that gives us x is equal to negative 1. So we do have to make note of this value. We're not going to be able to input negative 1 into f composed with g because that's going to cause our function to be undefined. Putting together our three restrictions, we have the following. We have x less than negative 1, x less than negative 1, and x equals to negative 1 are all going to be values of x that cause f composed with g to be undefined. So this means I'm going to put an open circle at negative 1. I don't want to include this value. I also don't want to include any values that are less than negative 1. So that means we're going to shade in this region here to the right of negative 1. And we can write the domain of our composite function as negative 1 to positive infinity. And if we want this as a set, this is the set of all x's where x is greater than negative 1.